Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you two Valentine's Day signs made from the beaded wood signs from Wal Mart. I did one in a more traditional theme, very cute and very colorful, and one in a more rustic farmhouse theme with beautiful burlap Valentine's ribbon and wood stained beads and frame. These signs are so fun to create, and I'm so pleased with the outcome, and I hope you are as well. And I hope you feel inspired to make one or both. Welcome to all to my channel today. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this tutorial. And if you are not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one. And as always, leave me your comments and tell me which of these two signs is your favorite. Okay, let me show you how I created each of these Valentine's Day signs. I purchased the beaded wood signs at Wal Mart, but you could just as easily find something very similar at the Dollar Tree. Let's look at the materials that you will need to create the first sign. Now this one, as I mentioned, I got this at Wal Mart. It's 14 inches by 5 inches. It's a very nice, sturdy wood piece. And as you can see there, it has a beaded wood hanger. Okay, so I have some hearts. I have 3 hearts that I'm going to use in this piece. And of course, you can pick these up at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby, anywhere that sells that type of thing. And those hearts are about 3.5 inches wide. I have there 3 different types of scrapbook paper, which I'm sure you probably realize because I say it endlessly, came from Hobby Lobby. Every other week, I get my scrapbook papers there at 40% off. Those are in the single sheet section. Really beautiful selection of Valentine's Day scrapbook papers at Hobby Lobby. I have here 3 different trims, one of which is from the Dollar Tree. Another one is from Joann Fabrics, and then the other is also, I believe, Hobby Lobby. But Dollar Tree has a good selection of trims, so I believe that you could pick up what you need at the Dollar Tree. If not, just look in the Valentine's Day section at Hobby Lobby and see what you can find. I'm going to be using Snow White Waverly chalk paint. I showed you there's some baker's twine. I'm going to use that to thread the beads because I'm going to be using beads, but I'm going to use a little bit of a smaller size bead on this piece, which I'll show you here in a bit. Now I'm going to be covering those 3 hearts with scrapbook paper. Each one is going to get a different scrapbook paper. So I chose my 3 favorites from Hobby Lobby, and I'm simply going to trace around the heart with my pencil and then just cut it out. Now, the reason why I trace on the side with the design is because I want that heart to be placed on the scrapbook paper to demonstrate the best that I can show of the scrapbook paper on the heart, if that makes sense. So I wanted it in a certain area to depict certain hearts on my hearts. Okay, so I think you got the idea here. So I'm doing that with all 3. And after I trace them all out, I'm just going to cut them out with my scissors. Now, I'm not going to be using a sanding block or anything like that. I'm just going to try and cut them accurately, and that will suffice once they go on to the wood hearts, which I'll be doing that with Mod Podge, because you're going to be putting some trim around each one of these hearts, so it isn't necessary to clean up the edges with a sanding block or anything of the like. Okay, so let's look at the next step here, which is to place the scrapbook paper on each of those hearts. I use my sponge applicator, which you can get in any craft store or the Dollar Tree or Wal Mart. I put a nice, generous layer of Mod Podge on my heart, and I'm going to apply the scrapbook paper to each of these 3 hearts. Now, this is a very, very easy process. I just smooth it out with my hand, and that's plenty sufficient. You won't have any bubbling or rippling at all in this process. Those are nice, sturdy scrapbook papers, so that's usually not a problem. Okay, now I'm going to show you the trims. That particular one I got on clearance at Joann's last holiday, last Valentine's Day. So it's been a while, but I had it in my stash, so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to just be placing my trims all around the edge of each of my hearts. Now, whatever trims you use, that's up to you. You can use rickrack, that will work as well, which you could certainly pick that up at any store that sells that kind of materials, like a sewing department, like at Hobby Lobby or at Wal Mart. I do use one rickrack. It's an iridescent rickrack. I think I got that at Hobby Lobby in the sewing department, or the material department. So I'm just using Aleene's tacky glue. I'm just going around the edge, and I'm placing my trims on. Now, I don't want to use hot glue for this, because I don't want to risk having that glue oozing out around my trims, or my trimmings. So I'm just going to be using Aleene's Tacky because it really works marvelously, and there's no need for anything else. That will suffice just fine. So that's all we need to do to dress up those hearts, but I will be putting XOXO on the middle heart, which you'll see here in just a bit. I'm going to cut off my beaded hanger. Now, this is just kind of stapled on, and those beads are fed onto a jute twine. And I'm just going to cut that off because I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to use baker's twine, and I'm going to use red and white beads that I happen to have in my stash. But if you want to use the beads, the beads that come on that piece, you can paint them. Easy enough. Okay, I'm going to take some Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to paint my sign all over, including the back, because I'm just going to totally finish this piece and have the back finished as well. Now, this will cover very well with one coat, but I think I added an additional coat because I really like my paint to be extremely, filled in and just really solid with a nice coat of paint. Okay, so now everything is all dry, and I'm going to be placing my hearts inside of that frame. But before I do that, I'm going to do something here. I have my little Rae Dunn font letters that I get on Amazon. If you follow my channel, you've seen me use these quite a number of times. Sometimes it's just more, it's just more handy to have letters like this, if I could speak properly, goodness, just at your disposal, rather than to have to go to your, Cricut, get all that set up with the computer and the laptop and everything. I'm just using my letters today because I just need an X and an O and an X and an O. Very easy. So I'm placing my little letters on here. They're sticky. They hold just fine. There's nothing more that you need to do with this. then just stick those letters on. Now I have my hearts all finished. Now I want to dress up my frame a little bit. Now this is a trim from the Dollar Tree, and this trim happens to be the exact width of that frame. Now it's kind of a cloth trim, and it's got little cutouts of hearts, very pretty, and just the right shade of red. So I'm going to start on the bottom, and I'm going to begin placing that around the perimeter of that frame. Now, I started by using hot glue. Not really a great idea because that trim has a lot of little holes in it. So I switched to Aleene's tacky to save my fingers, really. And besides, I didn't want the glue oozing through the hearts there. So I just used Aleene's tacky, and I finished wrapping that all the way around that frame. So this is a very cute addition to this piece, and it really adds some nice color. I am going to be adding another little added trim on there. I'm going to be taking some ribbon also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be doing the same thing on the inner perimeter of that frame. So that's going to add an even more Valentine's Day heart embellishment to this piece. All right, so here I am with my Aleene's tacky. That's always my go-to glue. If you've never tried it, give it a try. It's amazing, and it really, really holds. Once it's dry, that is a very good tacky glue. Really has a great hold for the long term. So I'm just going to be putting a stream of glue all the way around the perimeter until I have it all completely covered on the outside. Okay, now that's all covered, and it's hard to see there. It looks kind of like polka dots, but it's actually little hearts. Okay, so now you see I have that ribbon there. That is a Dollar Tree ribbon. I love it. It has little pink and white hearts on a red background. It's one of my favorite Valentine's Day ribbons, and it just happens to fit perfectly on the inner perimeter of that frame. So I'm just going to do the same process. I'm just going to use tacky glue, and I'm going to glue it in, and you can see there that it is all attached. This also adds a nice pop of color on this piece. There you can see the ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to take some baker's twine. I'm going to determine how long I want my baker's twine to be, or how long I want my hanger to be. So I'm going to cut a piece of baker's twine in the approximate length that I want my hanger, and I'm going to be using some red and white beads that I believe they're from Christmas, but they're plain red and white, so they're perfectly suited for this piece. I'm going to tie a couple of knots in the end of my baker's twine, and then I'm going to feed my beads on to that baker's twine to create the hanger. Now this sign is extremely lightweight. I mean, it barely weighs anything. So I'm going to just be using my tacky glue, which, as I mentioned, has a phenomenal hold. So I'm going to just be adding that to the top of my frame to hold on my beaded hanger. But we'll get to that in just a bit. I'm going to put a little piece of painter's tape on the end of my baker's twine so that I could feed my beads onto that twine easily. Now you can do the same thing with Scotch tape, or you can even take a little dab of hot glue and just create a point with the hot glue, and that will also work. Here's my beads. That little container is from the Dollar Tree. It has a little heart on it. That's in the Valentine's Day section. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and proceed to feed all of my beads on here. Now I had a lot more white beads than red, so I decided to do 2 white beads, 1 red bead, 2 white beads, 1 red bead. And that looks just very, very pretty as a hanger for my very cute little sign that's coming along very nicely. Okay, so I'm going to fill that twine up with all of those beads. And I'm going to take 3 Jenga blocks. I get these from the Dollar Tree. Very handy to have around. And I glued one to the back of each of those hearts. And the reason why I did that, I wanted to elevate my hearts a little bit to create some dimension. And that was a very good decision because it looks very nice like that. So I'm going to be using tacky glue to glue on my hearts to my frame. Now be sure you get everything nice and even and straight on your piece. Now I have these little twine stubs, if you will. That's where the knots were at the end of the hanger. So I'm just going to use Aleene's tacky glue. And I'm going to put my hanger about 1 inch in from the edge on each side. And then I'm just going to let it sit for a good amount of time for that glue to set. Now this piece is coming along so cute. Look how adorable that is. It just needs one more thing, and I bet you can guess what it needs. If you follow my channel, you just know it's a bow. So I have 3 of my favorite Valentine's Day ribbons that I get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to make a very pretty little mixed ribbon bow. In figure 8 bows, I'm going to stack them together and create one very cute bow that's going to go in the upper right-hand corner of my frame. So I'm going to make my loops about 3.5 inches. And I just fold over my loops, and I don't pinch or twist like I do on my regular bows. These are narrow ribbons, so I'm doing a little bit of a different technique, as you can watch me do here. I'm just creating some figure 8s, and I hold those loops together with my thumb and my index finger. And I'm going to use a piece of fine wire. This is a 26 gauge wire. And I purchased this at the Dollar Tree. Absolutely love this wire for doing little fine projects like this, where you just don't want your wire to show and you just need a little something to hold something together, which is what I'm doing here with all of my little bows. Now I'm going to create 3 of those. That's a cute ribbon, the X and O with the hearts. I love Dollar Tree narrow ribbons for Valentine's Day. Now, I don't often say I love things from the Dollar Tree, but every now and then I'll tell you, I like some things that Dollar Tree comes out with. Okay, so I'm doing 2 figure 8s for each of my bows. And again, I'm going to take a little piece of wire, wrap it around the center. I pull it really tight and I scrunch it up that center of that bow. Twist it in the back, and that's bow number 2. Okay, now we have one more which is that red ribbon with the pink and white hearts. Nope, I'm sorry. It's the red ribbon with the white hearts. Yeah, that one right there. Okay, I'm going to leave about maybe 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches for the tails. I do leave a little bit of tails on the bows. You'll see here in just a minute. So I have my 2 figure eights. I'm going to take another piece of wire, wrap that around the center, just like I did the others. Then to finish off the center, I'm going to wrap a piece of that ribbon around the center. You'll see me doing that here in a minute. Now this little bow really is the beautiful finishing touch on this piece. All right, now I'm going to take all 3 of those, take a nice size piece of wire. I'm going to stack one on top of another, aligning the centers of the bows so everything is nice and even. And then I'm going to take that piece of wire, wrap it around, bring the wire around the back, twist it tightly, and now I have one beautiful little bow here. But not quite finished yet. Now, we're going to be gluing this on to the frame. So it's not necessary to have tails of any kind in the back to attach to the piece, because I'm just going to be hot gluing it. So I cut a piece of that ribbon. I believe, yes, it was the top ribbon that I used with the white hearts. And I'm just going to wrap it around the center. And this is going to create a very nice little finishing touch to this bow. I use hot glue to secure that. Cut off the excess. Now I'm going to be angling my tails, but I wait pretty much, I believe I wait until I get it on the piece, but possibly I may have snipped them a little bit beforehand. Just out of absolute habit, I am always fussing over my bows. Yeah, some of those are really long, so I'm sure I probably did that. Okay, so I thought, let me see what it looks like in the center, and I didn't like it. I said, no, and I tried it on the left side, which characteristically I do that, but I put it on the right side, right there. I put it right at the base of where the bead is for the hanger. Yep, that's where I decided to put it. So I set it right there on the right side. I put a nice blob of hot glue on the back of my bow. Placed it right on there. Pressed it up against the bead. And then I trimmed up my tails. I am loving this sign. I just think it's so cute. Tell me what you think of this one. Now, I mentioned early in the video that you could very likely find a wood piece like this to create this piece at the Dollar Tree. They have a lot of variations on pieces like this, frames, and some of them have wood bead hangers. And if they don't have a hanger, no problem, just make one like I just did. Pretty easy to do. Okay, so I did use the beads on this one, but I stained them. All right, so this sign is 10 by 10. The inside area is 8.5 by 8.5. Now I have these 2 beaded hearts, which I got at Hobby Lobby. That is a beautiful ribbon, a burlap with red glittery hearts. That I got at craftoutlet.com last year. I made a beautiful farmhouse Valentine's Day wreath with that. If you follow my channel, you might remember it. It was just so pretty. All right, so I'm reminiscing here. I'm going to paint this in the middle. Yes, it's a chalkboard, but I don't need it to be a chalkboard. I need it to have a finish with paint. I used plaster Waverly chalk paint, and I put a nice coat. Actually, I put 2 coats because I wanted a nice solid color on there, even though for the most part I covered it up. All right, so I need to stain my beads. So I took my hanger off of my frame and I added some water to some Waverly antiquing wax. And I just have a little stick there, and I'm just moving those beads around in that Waverly antiquing wax until they're all covered. And then I'm just going to use my little tool there to poke it right in the center to retrieve those beads out of that cup. And then I'm going to take a little rag, a little cloth, and I'm going to wipe off the excess. And I love the color that was created with that Waverly antiquing wax. They look very dark there, but once I wipe them off, I just love the color of it. It's very rustic and farmhousey. See the color? Yeah, I really like that. Okay, now I am going to do the frame with Waverly antiquing wax. I'm going to take a small paintbrush and I'm going to go along the inner perimeter of that sign because I wanted to be very careful not to encroach on my paint that I just painted. So I used a paintbrush to put that antiquing wax on there, and then I just wiped it with a little cloth. So I'm going to do the inner perimeter first because that I need to be very careful and take my time doing that. Now you can see I'm wiping it off. Then I'm going to do the rest of the frame, including the back side. So I love the color that this Waverly antiquing wax looks on this frame. I think it's really beautiful. And I don't often do rustic kind of farmhouse decor, even though I love it. I do. I love it. I'm open to all types of decor. I just love creating. So, I'll go with any vibe from boho to, oh my gosh. I just love doing all different types of decor. So this one was fun for me. I really enjoyed it. I kept it kind of simple, but I just absolutely loved the way it turned out. All right, so now I'm doing my frame. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that entire frame on the sides, the top, and I did the back. So now I'm going to put my little painter's tape on a piece of jute twine that I'm sure I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and feed my beads on there and make my hanger for this piece. So I determined, that I was going to use all of the beads. They are a little bit on the heavier side. I didn't use those on my other piece because I felt that they were a little bit too bulky, but I actually like them for this farmhouse Valentine's Day sign. All right, so what I really wanted to do was to have my hearts intertwined. I wanted them to be like together. And so I snipped the wire and it just wasn't working. They kept falling apart and it just wouldn't set right. So you see me doing it there, but it didn't really end up well. So like I always say, I make the mistakes and then I tell you about it so you don't make the mistakes. And it looks fine there, but if you see it from my vantage point when I was looking at it, it just wasn't working. It was just not laying correctly. So I happen to have two more, another package of them. So I just did it without hooking them together. So I used my Crafters collection in the color red, and I painted the beads. Now I have this piece of, to me it looks like corrugated cardboard, but it's a scrapbook paper. I just love this scrapbook paper. So I cut it down. The inner perimeter of that sign is 8.5 inches. I cut it down to 7.5 by 7.5. And then I am going to use my crafting scissors that cut scallops. I love these scissors. I've had these for 2-3 years. I got them, I believe, on Amazon, but you can pick them up at a craft store. Don't get them at the Dollar Tree. They don't work well. Okay, get a nice pair if you want crafting scissors that cut different types of edgings on, like your scrapbook papers or whatever it is you're doing. So I cut the scallops on my 7.5 by 7.5. Now I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to glue that on to my frame, the inside of my frame. And I love how this looks with the antiquing wax on the frame and the ribbon, because it's a beautiful burlap color. As you can see, look what a beautiful combination that is. I love it. Okay, so now I'm going to create a bow for this piece, but obviously this is just a thin frame, so I can't really create much of a size of a bow, if you will. So it's just going to be a 2-loop bow. So I'm going to fold my loops over. I want to say that's around 8 to 9 inches. I'm going to fold over my loop, pinch it in the center. I'm just sizing it up there. I'm going to twist my ribbon. This is a beautiful 2.5-inch wired ribbon. Now, if you don't have ribbon of this kind, you could use just a burlap. That would be beautiful as well. That's much easier to acquire at a craft store. Even sometimes you could find that in a 2-inch at Dollar Tree. I'm going to create a center loop by folding over my loop and tucking it under, scrunching it up, and then I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, pop it through the center to hold all of my loops together, twist it in the back with a pipe cleaner that matches my ribbon. And now I have a 2-loop bow with a very nice little button right in the center. My tails are about 3 to 4 inches long. I'm going to marry my tail up with the other tail on the bottom. And then I have a very pretty bow to put on the top of my sign. Now I'm going to be putting some glitter on those 2 hearts that I painted. And the reason why I did that is because that ribbon has red glitter. So I thought that would be very complementary to one another. Very pretty. All right, so yeah, it's time to glitter. I'm still working on getting rid of the glitter from that wreath that I made recently with the red glitter heart in the center. If you follow my channel, you know which one I'm referring to. Yeah, I'm going to be getting my glitter out again. Okay, so I'm showing you there the glitter in the hearts. So I'm going to keep this simple though. I'm not going to try and glitter all around all of those beads. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to simply take my sponge applicator. I'm just going to dab across the top of the beads with Mod Podge. And then I'm going to sprinkle a light layer of glitter. I'm not going to do a real solid, heavy layer of glitter trying to get all kinds of perfect coverage. I don't really care about that. With this, I'm just trying to get a little bit of glitter on those two hearts to pick up the glitter in that beautiful Valentine's Day ribbon. So I did both of my hearts. And there you have it, a glittered heart. Now I'm just going to be placing one heart on top of one another since my idea to interlock them didn't work out to my liking, but that's okay. I still think the piece turned out beautiful. Now I thought about putting other little hearts in the same picture, if you will, on the sign, and I just liked it simple. I thought it was just really beautiful with the ribbon and the two hearts in the center with the scalloped scrapbook paper and the pretty wood-stained beads. I just liked it more simple. All right, so now I'm going to put my bow on, and I'm going to perch that right on top of the frame, facing a little bit forward so you can really see that beautiful bow. And that's it. And I did put a dab of glue here and there to get the bow to sit exactly the way I wanted it. I did angle my tails, and I turned up the tips of my ribbon on the tails. And I just love it. Let me know what you think of this one. Okay, that is my little farmhouse Valentine's Day sign. Yep, I love it. I think it's so pretty. We got the glittery hearts, the glitter and the ribbon. It's simple but yet beautiful. At least that's my opinion. You tell me what you think. And here's one last look at the signs. Just love them. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you are not already. Okay. So, until next time, you all take care.